Soul?
Yo, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
You believe in God?
No.
Why not?
I'm just agnostic to the thought.
Agnostic to the thought that God exists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, where do you think your consciousness came from?
Where do I think my consciousness came from?
Yeah.
My mother.
Your mother?
Yeah.
Okay. What about her mother?
Then probably her
Her
mother.
consciousness?
Are you?
Yeah, her mother's mother?
Yeah.
So,
Are you?
keep going all the way back. Where
Keep
the
going
first
all the way
consciousness
back
come from?
until like the first humans, and then where did they get their conscious from?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably
Before that, even.
Before that, I don't know. Probably like a naturistic cause.
First consciousness.
Yeah, probably like a naturalism of a cause.
A naturalism of a cause.
Mm-hmm.
Well, would you not have to have a property to give a property to something? Would I not have to have a dollar to give you a dollar?
In the sense of analogy, sure, but in the analogy of consciousness, then probably not.
So where else in the universe does consciousness just appear out of nothing?
Out of nothing? I didn't say it appears out of nothing. Obviously, it's going to be contingent off of something.
Well, it's something that had consciousness, right?
No, I don't think it has to have that existential property.
Well, then where's the consciousness coming from? It's from nothing, right? Whether it's from something, but the consciousness is coming from no consciousness.
Yeah,
right? It's coming from nothing.
No. Okay, it seems like you're getting this misconstrued. I'm not saying it's coming from nothing just because it doesn't have a, right? I'm saying it could come from something, but not inherently be a. A is going to reference as consciousness, right?
Okay, so where else in the universe does consciousness come from no consciousness?
I don't know. I'm agnostic on thought. I don't think it comes from a God for sure.
Okay, why not?
Because I'm agnostic if a God exists.
Okay, so what do you define as God that doesn't exist?
Wait, say it again. What do I define as God that doesn't exist?
Yeah. Like what is this God that doesn't exist to you?
Okay, if you're asking me what I define as God, then it's simply that. I guess you can argue from a religion perspective, but for me, God would be something like somebody that holds the essential properties of omnipotence and something that's always going to be contingent upon. He's going to hold the essential properties of necessity, usually what theists argue.
So what if I say God is not omnipotent?
I mean, that's fine. You don't have to argue he's all-powerful. What do you think God is, then?
Well, God is the source, to me, God is the source of our consciousness. He would have started the first consciousness, but he was eternal and had consciousness the entire time. And because that first consciousness, we were able to replicate consciousnesses and have, like your mother, that birthed you and gave you your consciousness. But it has preeminent knowledge of things that are going to happen and things that we have discovered that there's no possible way we could have known when these were written.
Okay, I'll attack the first initial point. Well, not really the first initial point. I'm gonna bring up a question to you, but I'm gonna attack the other two things after. You're fine with that?
Sure.
Okay, just so I understand, you're basically saying we gain personhood and consciousness from the trait of personhood. That trait of personhood would be necessary for God to have, right?
I don't know what you mean by personhood.
By consciousness, you're saying consciousness is an aspect of humanity, and personhood is also going to be like an aspect of humanity.
I think dolphins are conscious too.
Well, yeah.
According to the Geneva Convention, they have been,
sure.
We'll have to be humanity.
Sure, we'll label it as intrinsic needs then. You're fine with that?
Intrinsic needs? No, I wouldn't say that.
So you don't
think I would say self-awareness and intelligence, obviously.
Okay, that's
fine. How they define consciousness.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine with me. So I'll just pose a question. Do you think atemporal causation can exist? Are you aware what that means, or?
No.
Okay, temporality is just usually relating to time. Atemporal causation would just simply be that change and effect can occur without time existing, which I think is obviously logically impossible. I don't see how you're going to have these things. Wait. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
Oh, no. That was the summarization. I was probably going to add on, but honestly, I forgot.
Okay, so you probably didn't hear the conversation I just had with this last guy, but I don't believe time is something that exists.
You don't believe in time?
I believe that we have a concept called time. I believe in the concept of time. I do not believe time itself is something that exists.
So you don't believe
in mass?
Okay, I get it. You don't believe in it as in, like, it's real by, I guess you could say, physicists and everything, because it doesn't have mass, things that we give, like, descriptive natures to, right?
Yes, just like I would say love and almost like light, how it almost doesn't exist.
Okay, but you would
Right.
say it inherently. Would you say like it does exist at the same time, like as a concept at least, and it gives like denotations? By denotations, I'm just referencing.
100%. As a concept, love and even nothingness exists as a concept.
Okay.
But that's all. That's it.
Do you think we could give these means like represent? Like, can we represent these means into physical actions, or
Can you represent nothingness?
not nothingness specifically? I don't believe in nothingness at all. Like, I don't. I think it's just illogical to believe in something like that.
It is very logical.
Okay, so yeah, what I
I
would
don't
be
know why we have a
referencing.
word for it.
Yeah, what I would be referencing here is concepts that give. I guess you can represent in physical attributes such as love. You can show affection and love towards
It's
somebody.
not physical, right? That's showing
No, yeah,
affection, right?
Yeah, the concept
That's
of it.
the
I
verb.
agree to that. But what I'm saying is that the meaning of these things, do you think they could be represented by physical means?
No, I believe the time is just counting a series of events that occur, right? You have a bunch of events, and that is what we consider the concept of time.
Okay, do you
Over
think,
these series of events.
okay, so you think, okay, just so I understand, you think time is just referencing like a timeline, basically?
Yeah, that's how we tell time. Timeline.
Okay, yeah, I would agree for linear time, like
Okay.
obviously. Sorry, I'm lagging a bit. I would agree that that would be reference to linear time and everything. Obviously, a
I
time.
only would. Sure.
Yeah. So from my
Well,
understanding,
what else is there besides linear time?
well, yeah, because from my understanding, time is just referencing the changes of things. How something changed.
For sure. Change.
Okay, so
Yes.
do you think we could represent, I guess, change in physical ways?
No.
No. So
But I mean, you can change things, but you can't represent it. You know, I mean, a change is everything changes, literally everything, right? And nothing's changed, right? No things change. Things that don't exist change.
okay,
Change is like a very, it's too general, it's too common a term.
yeah. Okay, so back onto it. Just seems like you agree that time does exist as concept, obviously, but you're agreeing that it exists as abstraction. It seems that you also agree that
Yes.
the denotation of time can be represented in physical means. By that, I'm just simply mean that this meaning of time can, or just any other words that I guess you put into forth as concepts and doesn't hold a physical point of view or just perception of it, can be throughout into physical means. It just seems like that, right?
Now, I would say the same. I would say the same for God, right? Because He is before creation, so all of creation would not be Him, because He would have to be something that was before it,
Okay.
right? Whatever consciousness. So as a concept, yes, that has all knowledge, like knowledge is a
Okay.
concept. How it doesn't physically exist. Like that's how time would exist.
Okay, yeah. So back.
Well, as a concept.
Yeah, okay, so back onto that point then. I just think like it's illogical to believe in that framework of God if we're like how I reference atemporal causation. I don't believe in atemporal causation can be a thing, meaning that cause and effect can relate without time, right? So saying this, I don't see how a God would be even logical.
Now, I would agree with you.
Okay, go ahead, my fault.
Right. I was an atheist until I was 34. Right? So there's 34 years of not believing. And I was 100% with you. I thought it was illogical too. And I thought that the Bible and the Quran were just fairy tales. And then I read them.
Okay.
Fairy tales because there's advanced knowledge of astrophysical concepts that we are just discovering to this day that it, whatever it may be, however you want to define God, right? It's weird saying it, but what God says God is. Now, God uses this information and then says that is why people will not believe in me because they don't know about this information that people back in the past did not know about. They couldn't have because we just discovered it.
Okay, so
Right.
is that your evidence
So,
pointing towards a
These,
God?
but all of those concepts together and how they relate, and that some are invisible and some visible, and that we did not discover any of that stuff, and then God, says that that is why people will not believe. And
Okay.
He calls it, and it's impossible for it's illogical to think anything else could have known this information, especially the people who wrote about it.
Okay,
Or the
so
Quran,
I guess
or
my question opposed to that would just be: do you think it's more rational to believe in a God opposed to not believe in a God or question a God? Because that's what it seems to me that
I
you.
think it's not only more rational, it's the only logical or sane thing to believe in. Now, it is not the God that you may have heard, right? The omniscient, omnipotent, all that type of stuff. He died for your sins. All those things you may have heard, it's not the God I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a Christian God. I'm talking about the God that is in the Scripture, the God that says He is God. Right?
Okay. So you think God wrote the Scripture? I'm confused.
No, He gave that knowledge. Right? I believe that He's outside of creation. He doesn't have physical hands to write stuff. Right?
Okay.
That it was knowledge given to someone who said it, and that person said it, and somebody else wrote it, and that person was probably unalived because they were doing that to people back then. I know the history of those times. I know the philosophy of those times. I know the science of those times. And none of those people who wrote it or who said it could have known about it.
Okay, what if that?
Discovered in the
What if that guy, who's like this mysterious guy, obviously, who just wrote the Scripture that supposedly God gave to him, right? What if that guy just like thought of it?
No, not gave to him. It was gave to somebody who said it. There was a lot of people that were being unalived by the Romans at that time, right?
Yeah.
They were being, I can't really describe it, but it was a very gruesome way to be unalived. Now, these people would not stop saying these things. So the people of that time wrote it down for them. They did not believe them. They wrote other things, right? They were philosophers, scientists, scholars in Greece. They wrote it in Greek, and they wrote other things. They wrote about their theories about how the world works and all these things work, and none of them were in line with what it said in the Bible. None of them.
Yeah, my question to oppose that would just simply be that why do you think it's conditional that God gave this person basically the idea to configure it, and then this person told somebody to write the Scripture? Why do you think that is the conditional? Why can't this person
Because
just like
it
think, hold
says
on?
It is God.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't answer the question. It's kind of like begging the question, basically.
No, it says it's God that is giving this information. Like,
Yeah, but that's what's in question. If this guy's like vouch or response, if like this guy's correspondence of giving this person the Scripture to write about.
Okay, but all right. So, but some of these things are visible, and we do have physical evidence of them, and people do not know it to this day.
Well, it seems like me that just contradicts your belief, doesn't it? God isn't physical.
No, God is not physical. The effects of His powers can have physical after effects.
Wait,
right?
okay,
it can have visible.
Hold on, but that just gets confusing to me because earlier you don't agree to immaterial being corresponding to physicality, and now it just seems like
I didn't say that.
Well, yeah, but that is.
I didn't say that. I'm talking about something that created the universe here, right? It obviously has something to do with physicality, right? That'd be absurd to say it doesn't. It just is. He is. Whatever makes him up, or I don't even want to talk about him like that, out of respect, but he is not made of something, he's not visible. He's not something that is made of something that you would think of in creation. Right?
So is he physical? Is he material?
No, he's not physical.
So is he immaterial?
Yes, that is not material.
Okay,
but
so
he still is.
That doesn't make sense. He's immaterial and material at the same time?
No, he is not material. He created all the material. He was before there was material, but he is not material.
Yeah, but you said earlier that the universe got created, and you're presupposing the fact that God created the universe. So obviously there's going to have like this physical cause and effect that God had to do to create this universe. I'm asking you a simple question.
Don't believe that there's a nothingness before. I don't believe that there's a nothingness before, so it is eternity. Right? I don't believe
eternity,
in time.
God?
Forever.
No, what's eternity? God? Is that what you're referencing as eternity? That has this existential part?
No, God is eternal.
Okay.
Okay? He is eternal. He will never be unalived or cease to exist or anything like that.
Okay.
But he is not eternity, the concept, right?
Okay.
He's not anything that we could think of. God is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
He does all these things. He has aspects. He is the most merciful. He is the most powerful. He is the most logical, the most knowledgeable, the best planner. He is the best of anything we could ever be.
I don't know about
right?
the best.
Except,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know about the best planner exactly. It seems like the world's pretty corrupt, if you ask me.
Yeah, but it's just how you look at it, right? It does look very corrupt. And it is corrupt, but that's not God doing those things. That is people being corrupt.
Well, if he's the perfect planner, wouldn't he make it like perfect?
Oh, yeah, I think it is perfect.
You think it's perfect because you believe in God, but understanding from an hold up, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to get this straight. Understanding from my position, obviously, The world seems not to be perfect for me because I don't presuppose a factor like God existing. I presuppose that things are social constructs and normative things for people, right? That's why I presuppose things like, oh, the world's obviously not perfect. We have corruption going on.
But you didn't make the world, and you don't have the plan for the world or us.
Obviously,
right?
That's why I'm agnostic to the thought of a God existing.
Yes, but perfect itself is in the eyes of the beholder. It is not a definitive term. It's a nothing. It means nothing. If I think it's perfect and you don't think it's perfect, that's fine. He still exists, but he does not control every little aspect of our lives. We have free will. So he has equal and opposite influence on our will for it to be free.
Okay,
right? So either has,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He either has no influence, right, or he gives equal and opposite, but he cannot control every little aspect. If we all submitted to God and all prayed for him, he would control every little aspect, and it would be amazing, but people won't do it.
Okay,
right?
I could agree to that. Like, if a God does exist and everybody, like, seemingly came to this coherent agreement that a God does exist, and probably we live in that perfected world, right? Because Beholder and the ideal creations of the Beholder holds this perfect world, correct?
Yes, and that was how it was when he made it.
Okay, I could agree to that, hypothetically, if a God did exist. I want to get back into this free will argument, though.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think inherently, presupposing the factor, obviously, because you believe in a God, I don't think inherently God gave us free will.
Why not?
Because inherently, do you think God knows all?
He's all knowledge that's ever been known, God knows it.
Okay, so we can't have free will then.
Why not?
Because he knows what's going to happen.
I didn't say he could see the future.
Well, he knows
future,
all.
to me,
so you're referencing
time does not exist.
Okay, so you're only referencing the current knowledge and the past knowledge. God has obtained all of that.
Okay, so God has all the knowledge that has ever been known or will. He's outside of time, right? Now, the future to me is not like a telescope you can see. That's not a road you can walk down. It's not like that. He is the most wise and neatest planner, and he knows what's going to happen because he's super smart and has all the knowledge, right? But I don't see time as a thing. Right?
Okay, that's fine if you don't see time as a thing, but you do. Like, do you think the future or potentiality doesn't exist?
Only now exists.
Only now exists. So only the current state of affairs exists, you would say.
At any point in time.
I mean, it just seems kind of.
Exist?
Huh? Yeah, of course a past exists, but I think, like, inherently, you think a timeline exists and linear time exists, and it just seems like you think as well, like, futuristic by that vibe has to exist.
I don't believe time is something like we can travel through, right? You can't peer into the future because it hasn't happened yet.
Well, God could, right? If he had the support.
He doesn't need to. He doesn't have eyes. He is God. Like, he's not a human thing.
That's fine, but he still knows. That's fine, but he still knows all.
Yeah, he is all. Like, it's part of him.
Oh, you paused your live, by the way. You accidentally paused it, I think.
No, it's just a low battery.
Okay, my fault.
Okay, so you're giving him like characteristics, right? Like having to see or know things.
Well,
right?
yeah,
like
but it's gonna be different from, like, obviously what we think of see, right? It's not gonna be like, oh, with our two eyes, because we reference God to be immaterial by your own definition and what you think of God, right?
Yes, so but he can perceive. He can perceive, and he can perceive multiple perceptions at the same time while perceiving each one individually.
Okay, that's fine.
That.
I could agree to that, but that doesn't denote the fact that if God can see all these things, do you think God could see possibilities, Crow?
Man, you're presupposing time exists for that.
Well, yeah, it just sounds like time has to exist, though.
Why?
Because it's the rate of change
by the
because yeah, sure. Time, from my understanding and from, like, general Oxford definitions and from, I'm pretty sure, definitions in general, just reference time to be the changing of events or the changes between events.
Yes.
Okay, so if the changing of events, one, is always progressing, obviously, do you think otherwise?
I mean, that's a very strange way to look at it, but for lack, I mean, just humor you, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so if it's always progressing, then it seems like it's progressing, what it's progressing towards, God would already know.
Yeah, but it's not like he sees the future because the future hasn't happened.
Okay, sure, let's say there's not a future. Let's say there's not, like, going to be an infinite amount of, like, possibilities controlled. Let's say there's a finite, right? But there's always going to be this outcome. For example, if you believe in heaven, you're going to believe in that you get divine eternity to be in there, right?
No, according to the Bible, heaven is the firmament, and that's one of the proofs of that God exists, and it's not a mystical magical kingdom that people go to when they die.
Okay,
right?
so what do you think happens whenever we die?
What I believe happens when we die is that the soul that is part of you and your spirit, which makes up the animos, is the old Greek word for everything that is you that is not your physical body. So your thoughts, your mind, your passion, your love, your immaterial things.
Okay.
Right? Most likely, I believe, housed or somehow the consciousness of your electromagnetic fields leave your body, and your body goes into the dirt or whatever, but you, your perception, your consciousness is this ball of imperceivable light, and it goes to where it goes to. But that's what. If you want to hear the rest, I'll tell you. I just know where you want me to stop.
Well, nah, yeah, I just really want to know where it goes to. Like, what's the destiny of once this, like, thing of the spirit, the soul, and everything, like, these immaterial objects, where do they go to?
Well, when I died, it was just, it's just here. You don't go anywhere. It's all just here. And you just see it with like a different pair of goggles. And there was a veil. I went up, like over the planet, and there was a veil, and behind that veil was a horde of demons.
Okay, if you don't mind me asking, like, no disrespect and everything. Obviously, like, I don't want to discuss how you.
I have a heart disease.
Okay.
I have a heart disease. I've died a bunch of times. It's called defib tachycardia.
Oh yeah, I heard.
I got struck by lightning.
Yeah, my grandfather.
I got struck. Oh, it sucks, man. I got struck by lightning when I was 10, and I just started having heart attacks and passed out at school. And every time I've died, it's only been for like a second or two. It hasn't been long.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
Just hard. It's not. It's okay.
Okay. Well, back to the topic. Okay. So basically, you say, whenever we die, like, the things inside of us that are inanimate, I guess you can say, not even inanimate, because that provides a case of not living. My fault. Things that are going to be immaterial, such as the soul, spirit, other things like that. You think they just go where they're destined to be, I guess, and if they need to be retrieved back, they come back in the physical form.
I think it's a lot more complicated than that. I think it's very. It has a lot to do with your electromagnetic field, the polarity, the frequency of your field, and your devotion to God. So in Islam, they have this tradition where they say these words, and they try to say them if they're like going to die or something like that. They say La ilaha illallah. Now it's one of the easiest things to say. You have to say it while breathing, and it sounds complicated, but it just means there is no other God worthy of worship except God. Right? And I've seen videos lately of in Gaza. I've seen people that are on their way out, completely unconscious, unresponsive, in seizure, locked up, ready to go, and say that before they pass as their last breath. And it gave me this idea that perhaps your mindset, your thought process can magnetically propel you away from the planet or out into, out in deep space where you'd be blasted by other electromagnetic fields, cosmic radiation. It'd probably be terrible. And that might be a physical application of it, but that's literally just speculation.
Okay, I could understand that.
I never got past that veil, right? There was a veil, and then I'd be brought back alive. I did not see a God or a Jesus or an angel of death or anything like that.
Okay.
It was just a veil and a horde of lost souls. But they weren't, like, trying to do anything. Now, that veil, I believe to be the exact same as the magnetosphere that the planet has. It's just, as you are a soul or electromagnetic field thing, it has different interactions with you.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
So when people do pass, there's a lot of them that say they see the light and they're lifted up and they're pulled and pushed in different ways. Right? It appears to me to be a magnetic thing, and that might be a goal in life.
Okay. Yeah, I get your point of view, right? So I'm gonna say two things. It's very simple, and then
But that's just speculation.
Yeah, I'm gonna say two things, and then I'm probably just gonna go. All right. One.
Okay.
obviously in a debate, I'm not gonna accept your testimony, right? Like that should be.
No, that's not my proof.
No. Yeah, that's fine. Just let me say the other thing before you go, right? Because I'm gonna leave after this and everything. So obviously in a debate, I'm not gonna accept your testimony. The second thing I want to say, however, I do feel sincere for you. So sincere in the fact that wait, no. So sincere in the fact that I will start reading a Bible and trying to find my way. Okay.
The first page is when it hit me. The first page. You should read it.
Okay, I'll read it. I'll trust your word.
It's completely different than what they say.
Yeah.
I just want to think it's completely different. And you know anything about astrophysics?
Nope.
It's insane.
Okay, I just wanted to say those two things because obviously I feel sincere about you, and I like what you're doing about the live. Even if I am agnostic to thought, I'm opening to the thought of God obviously existing. I would love that thought matter, in fact, more than to be wrong for.
I know. I was the same way. You know what I hated? Nobody said there was ever proof. Nobody ever told me there was anything that could say that God existed, right? But it describes, and you'll read this, it describes the magnetosphere, water in space, and there's water everywhere in space, and aurora borealis, and it connects all three of those things together, and it says that's why people will be willingly ignorant that God exists, claims it, and it's 100% true.
From my perspective. Yeah, from my understanding of like everybody's belief, obviously a theist, agnostic. I think what I'm most suited it with is agnostic. And atheism, I just find like one of the most illogical frameworks. Matter of fact, you would probably honestly disagree and agree with me here, honestly, and be surprised that I would even say this. I think theist is much more logical than atheism. That's why I'm agnostic to thought, and I love the thought of a God existing, and I hate the thought that a God doesn't exist, because I'm always going to be open to our speculations, these theories, what's going to happen whenever I die. Like, I would rather this thought of God being existence and him actually existing for a good thing, like, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. And it's sad that things like original sin are taught, right? Like, the whole story of the Garden of Eden is not what it says in the Bible. It's like almost people that are dyslexic have been telling these stories for the past 3,000 years. It's absurd, but it's actually beautiful, like the Garden of Eden story, right? People have a problem with that. Like, did God make everybody perfect? Yes. Adam didn't sin. Eve didn't sin. That's not the point of the story at all, right? But Christians will lose arguments about God being really perfect and stuff because of that one story.
Yeah, so I understand that, because it feels like atheists just like kind of like nitpick arguments from like scriptures, biblical senses and everything, and they try to point out that perfection of God or his human ideation isn't going to be perfected. Like, and then you referenced earlier that it's just perfected version of the beholder, which I can agree with.
Yeah,
so it just seems like me that obviously atheism is the most irrational one. Theist, from my perspective, obviously, I take agnosticism, obviously. But
agnostic's beautiful. It's almost like Islam. You just don't know.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
don't know what God is, right?
Yeah. And I don't. That's the thing.
I know what he is.
And it seems to me like you don't have a specific, I would guess, a religion partaking. It seems that you just believe in a God.
The only God.
The only God.
Right now, I say that I'm Muslim. I said my Shahada, and I am trying. It wasn't that long ago because I just discovered God was real, and I just want people to know that God is real. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I have not changed anything about me or my beliefs since I have become a Muslim. It is a wonderful.
I've been hearing a lot about that. Like, because I saw a Christian getting rehabilitated towards Muslims and everything, about Islam and everything. Like, I saw this one video, right, of like this person that was Christian. It was one of the most famous people. You probably know him, Andrew Tate. You know him?
Yes, I do know Andrew Tate.
So yeah, he was like Christian, like sworn Christian. He was born and raised to be Catholic and everything, right? And he just felt whenever he went into Islam faith and the Masa and everything, stuff along those lines, right? He went into Islam faith and he just felt a presence of a God. In Christianity, the people don't really feel that. And like,
Catholics definitely don't. They have no idea.
Yeah.
But look, you got the Bible that says, Jesus said specifically, do not call any man your father. That they require in the Catholic Church to call their priest father. Jesus says it's easier to get a camel through the eye of a needle than a rich man into heaven. And they have the Pope, who just had a Lamborghini or a Ferrari the other day. Right? Like, they are going, it says do not wear a belt of gold. Jesus said specifically, and they wear belts of gold. Like, they're going against the Bible, and it's on purpose. And the Catholic people, like, know this. Right? They, like, know it. But their tradition, and they go it, and they don't feel the presence of God because of that.
Yeah.
Those people are
So
demonic.
the thing is, like, from my perspective, obviously, understanding your position and everything, from my perspective, I think it's much scary to like try to believe in the wrong God. Like, if I do believe in a God and try to,
You wanted to meet the right one. I
yeah,
had the
that's
same
what I'm
experience,
saying.
yeah.
I want to meet the exact God that I know for a fact exists. Obviously, my belief
That
is going to
is-
be coherent with that and everything, but that's the scariest part to me. Like, what if this God
I
doesn't
know,
exist, and if it's a different God?
Exactly. Like, what if I'm, but there is only one God.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if there's
That's-
only one God,
that's
then
the
I know
only-
from the truth.
And that's it. And if you know God, then and don't let anybody tell you anything. It's your personal relationship with God.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
I hope I was much more
Let it, He will
formal.
lead you.
I hope I was much more formal than the last debater. By the way.
I appreciate that. Yeah, just manners. It was very, very thankful.
Yeah, the last debater, Infinity. You probably don't want to hear this. Me and him are pretty good friends, but
That's fine, right? If he was respectful, I would love to have a conversation with him, but he's just disrespectful.
well, yeah, it's
Right?
funny because literally earlier, right? Me and him was like talking on Discord and everything, talking about, hey, let's go in people's lives and debate them and everything about their takes. Believe it or not, he's a theist, by the way. He just takes devil's advocate.
It sounded like that. Like he was literally just trying to like. I don't know.
He's also Islam, by the way.
Oh, he's gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give him a
He can't
real
be doing
awakening soon.
He's better read the Quran again because you can't. Yeah, especially I don't think he knew that I was Muslim, so.
No, I didn't. But yeah, it was fun talking to you, bro. Have a blessed one.
Hey man, pleasure was mine, soul. Thank you.
Okay.
I hope you find God, man. Bless you, brother. Be good.
You too.